Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. I wanted to share a short thought on this week's parshat Vayakhel. In our parsha, Hashem commands us to keep Shabbat. The interesting thing is we've already been commanded to keep Shabbat. Right after we're commanded Vayakhel and Moshe gathers the people and tells us about Shabbat, we are told once again to build the Mishkan. From here, the rabbis learn out that there's a deep connection between the laws of Mishkan, building the Mishkan, and building Shabbat. Meaning to say, the malachot that one is not allowed to do on Shabbat, it doesn't say in the Torah what exactly we're not allowed to do. It says a few of them, 4 out of the 39, but most of the laws, we don't know how God defines malacha. From the juxtaposition, the connection between Mishkan and Shabbat, the rabbis learn out that everything that was done in order to build the Mishkan, that was what is permitted for us to do. That is what forbidden, I apologize, for us to do on Shabbat. So that's the drasha. But what's the bigger idea that this drasha is trying to convey to us? So perhaps we can share the following thoughts. There are two modes in which Hashem wants us to bring Schina, to bring God's presence into our lives. The first mode is Mishkan mode, when we're building and doing actions in order to bring God's presence into the world. In fact, if you look at the malachot that were done in order to build the Mishkan, each one could say, is a microcosm of the creative acts that really are the evolution of mankind. For example, writing is one of the huge revolutions of mankind that when we discovered writing. Agriculture is one of the main categories that one may not do on Shabbat that was done in the Mishkan. Clothing was another revolution. Each stage, one could say, represents another stage of human creativity, another stage in development of mankind. Okay, so we have to work. We have to do actions for the sake of God, and by doing that, we actually bring God's presence into our lives. In fact, this concept of malacha was originally, who created the Mishkan? Bitzalel. Rabbi Foreman suggests that Bitzalel is a small version of B'Tselem Elokim. It symbolizes mankind who's in the image of God, and his action that he does, his creative acts, in order to bring God's presence into the world. Actually, this parallels the actions that were done by Hashem himself, where his actions in the creation of the world are also described as melachot. So God does actions in order to create a space for mankind, and we do actions in order to create a space in our lives, a holy of holies where God can dwell. Amazing. That's one mode. Actions, maybe we would call it mitzvahs, like learning, like chesed, like tefillah. That's one mode of bringing the Schina into our lives. And at the very same time, we learn we don't do any of those melachot on Shabbat. The same way that God rested on the seventh day and said, there needs to be a time where I kind of do tzimtzum, I bring myself back and don't act so much to make space for mankind. On Shabbat, we refrain from creative acts. And in that act of stepping back, of menucha, we actually create a space to receive God's presence in our life. And that's what Shabbat is all about. And really, Shabbat is a paradigm for those times in life when we have to be in receive mode, not action. For me, a lot of times it's when I'm praying, I can meditate a little bit. When I'm singing, when I'm eating at a Shabbat table. And I don't know, man, I'm thinking a little bit when I'm running and thinking. I'm letting God flow into my mind, not by doing actions, but by going in receive mode. These are the two paradigms in our life. We have to do. There are times for action. There are times for stepping back and receiving God's presence. May Hashem bless us with the clarity to know when we need to be on Mishkan mode, when we need to be on Shabbos mode, and with the perfect harmony and balance, We'll have a lot of Schina in our lives. May you have a beautiful Shabbat here from Yerushalayim, Ira Kodesh. May only have peace and health. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos.